that great talent found. We'll talk to Robi about that. Secondly, I want to bring out the Academy Award-winning costume designer of Black Panther, also. And finally, an actress who appeared in Coffee and Cigarettes, Summer of Sam. Also, She's Gotta Have It, School Days, and Do the Right Thing, Joie. Thank you, ladies, for being here tonight and coming out and talking about this film. So let me start off with sort of generically. Joie, I'll start with you.
Okay.
It's been 30 years. How has your assessment of the film changed, or hasn't?
The film is definitely still current. The film holds up, and maybe things are even more intensified. It's still, Spike was presenting issues that these were the current issues, and they still are. So that's what he was exploring, these things. So things they're worse in some ways, better in others, but I think he definitely captured just the current theme, the intensity of the social, the climate, the racism, just everything that was happening in New York during that time in 1988 and 1989. The senseless murders, of black men. And
Howard Beach.
Yusef Hawkins, Tawana Brawley, Michael Griffith.
Michael Griffith at Howard Beach in December of 1986. So for younger people here, and I know there's some young people here, how would you describe the racial tension and energy in New York in the mid to late 1980s that Spike was able so wonderfully to capture in the picture?
How would I describe it?
Yeah.
It was intense. It was a really intense time. There were senseless murders. There were. I was just reading today about the Yusef Hawkins situation in Bensonhurst, Howard Beach. They were really intense times. And I'm just thinking about how Spike was pretty much putting on the screen what was happening in real life. So that's what Do the Right Thing was. This is what was happening, and it's still happening. So people were protesting. People started to protest. People came out in droves, and people were having a big reaction to the senseless murders and racism. And there were Reverend Al Sharpton was getting people out in the streets, to protest. Chuck D, Fight the Power. So we were heated. It was a very intense time.
Were you guys aware as you worked on this film and the critical manners that you worked on it, that you weren't making a movie, that you were making, it's a document of the times. This is, it almost feels historical. I mean, it's incredibly amusing along the way, and it entertains, but it feels, again, it feels important. Did you recognize that this was a movie that mattered as you were putting it together?
We absolutely recognized that, but I don't think at that time we knew just how much it would, matter. Obviously, later on that we'd be sitting here 30 years later, discussing this movie as if we made it just a week ago, with some of the same challenges, racism, and things that are happening. Of course, the entertainment part of it, the opportunity to do another Spike Lee joint, you know, and be creative and find, you know, great talent and, you know, work on these great projects. And then, of course, being able to work together again was always something that we look forward to as well.
And still look the same.
Well, thank you.
A lot of aging happening here.
They have not aged.
Ruth, your assessment.
Well, I think about the script. The script is, at times, it feels like prose. At times, it's very, very much an affront. It lets you know the intensity between the communities, between the races. You know, the Korean grocer is talking about Ed Koch, and John Turturro is talking about the African Americans. Spike is talking about the Italians, and the camera runs right up to them. And you can't read a script like that and think you don't know what's going on, what we're making. The script, at the end, they say Eleanor Bumpers, and they go through a whole lineup of civil unrest. And so we knew we were making a film that was important, and you know, we all dialed in, you know, to that culmination that happens at the end.
It reminded me too of the young girl, I think that was shot in the bodega by the Korean lady, the young, like 14-year-old girl. That happened right around that time we made the film too.
There are, if I ever wanted to describe to someone who, you know, doesn't necessarily know movies the way people come to this festival, doesn't love movies the way people come to this festival, about, you know, when do the costumes, tell me a movie where the costumes completely lead you into the mood of the film, where the costumes totally matter in every single scene. The first answer I would always have is to the
Perez dancing at the top.
It's right off the top. 8 hours to shoot that beginning of that, right?
We shot that after the film was made.
Is that right?
We shot that on a soundstage, I think out here, because all of that is beside. Right.
So what was your, if there was a mandate from Spike, what were your conversations with the director about how to dress these people? Because these people are, everything feels so carefully and perfectly considered.
Well, it's heightened realism, you would look down Bed-Stuy, you would look down the street and see a different Bed-Stuy. So it wasn't heightened realism, it was the hottest day of the year. Spike would say, you know, what happens on the hottest day of the summer, there's a lot of unrest, there's a lot of killings, people are on edge. So we started there, and, you know, he was animate about, you know, having color saturation, having certain looks, having sweat. You know, we really wanted to project an intensity not only in that it was the hottest day of the year and everyone would be sweated up all the time, the intensity, the saturation of the color. There's a color palette, and in every Spike Lee film, there's a level of production value that he's very focused on and communicates, you know, his wishes. He's definitely a part of the whole process.
Ernest Dickerson shot the film when I read where he, you know, the amber colors, you know, dark, warm colors, colors that convey heat. There's a lot of red in this movie, and a lot of variations of red.
Also, he was using, because I was watching something earlier, so I was saying backstage, that there's a making of Do the Right Thing, which was directed by St. Clair Bourne, which is, once you've seen the film, for those of you who've seen it, or just in addition, the making of the film. I always like to watch a making of a film after especially for a film I really like, and it's really beautiful because everyone is interviewed in the film, the cast and crew, and Ernest talks about kind of using the daylight, the natural light, to the best of his ability. And also there was a lot of night shoots. We were on nights for, I think, a few weeks as well. But just using the available light, because he had to depict the, you know, 24-hour period.
Right. There's you know, I have a different reaction to the movie emotionally almost every time I see it. But one consistent reaction, no matter how many times I've seen it, is that I so badly want Ozzie Davis to take his jacket off. For the love of
To take his jacket off.
But he wouldn't, that's the thing.
No,
He wouldn't.
because
He was-
he's got issues, you know, people with issues sometimes have no consciousness of heat. So it was deliberate that he would have a suit on.
That's right, and he wanted to sort of also, you know, he felt like he commanded a little respect, didn't get it, but that's how.
The mayor.
The mayor wears his jacket, that's right. But still, I think, it must be so hot, please just take it off.
Sears Tucker. It was a summer suit.
It was fine. Still, it's 100. It's 100. So, all
And
right.
we shot it over the whole summer, so by the August, it was cold. He was the warmest one on the sun. By August.
Ronnie, let's talk a little bit about the casting. I mean, I mentioned Ozzie Davis, you know, so obviously you got to mention Ruby Dee too, but let's focus on the people who were, many of whom quickly became very established stars, who were not established stars that you found and cast a lot of really good actors.
Yes, that's something that those days were great, you know, to be able to do that. And I look so forward to every film with Spike, because I knew that we were going to get in there and be able to just take the time to really unearth people. And so with Do the Right Thing, Robin Harris, that was his first, I believe it was his first film.
That's Sweet,
No,
Sweet
I'm
Dick
going to get
Willie?
the second one.
That's Sweet Dick Willie, right?
Sweet Dick Willie, yes. And Spike would just roll the camera and just let him go. You know, yeah. We were talking about that off stage, you know, we would just be off camera cracking up and trying not to ruin the shot from laughing so loud. Robin, Martin Lawrence, it was his, you know, first film.
What told you that Martin Lawrence would work? What in that process makes you think that this guy can do it?
I had seen Martin on stage. There was a comedy theater here in LA called the Comedy Act Theater. And that's where I saw Robin Harris and Martin Lawrence.
Like, you know, everybody, there are fans out there who are addicted, like me, to Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and you see Giancarlo Esposito here, where he had acted, he had been in a couple of things, am I right?
Yeah, well, Giancarlo had been in School Days. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah, and he had been definitely working, and Spike knew Giancarlo, Lawrence Fishburne, you know, and we were saying also how Spike, his movies were like theater and used a lot of, he liked working, you know, with some of the same actors. So that, you know, from School Days to Do the Right Thing, we did that with a couple of people. And then with Rosie Perez, we saw Rosie first in a club here in LA. She was dancing.
Rosie wasn't even an actress, right?
No, you've been thinking. No, she wasn't an actress. No, she wasn't an actress. She was a dancer on Soul Train and a legal assistant. That's what she was doing. And
that's the way many people get it out. Legal assistants, yeah.
And dancing on top of speakers, because that's what she was doing at Funky Reggae. And it was the butt contest, and the song doing the butt from School Days. And Spike saw her, I saw her, and he said, I think I want her to audition for my girlfriend, you know. And she literally auditioned for that role in my living room.
So how does that work? I mean, I get the process, you call her, she comes to your living room and auditions, but what's it like, you guys see her, and then what is, you know, she hasn't had formal training as an actress. What do you see, what do you and Spike see that makes you think this is good? Obviously she can dance, but this is going to work. This is going to work as a significant, important character with some really vital scenes in the picture.
She was raw and she was real, and that's one of the things Spike always loved. You know, people that could just be real, like the real thing, and that's what she was. And she was fearless and really able to get in touch, you know, with her emotions. And it just, when she read, and she did a monologue too, and she brought me to tears. I remember that and thinking, wow, she's really got something, and if she wants to pursue this, she could really have a career at it. So
you were right. Joie, give me a sense of, you'd worked with your brother before. Was that an enjoyable process? Mixed?
I'm so grateful to my brother for so much, because he's given me so much, so many opportunities, and the role of Jade is, I'm his younger sister who's supporting him, so I mean, we just, our real life relationship obviously informed the relationship between us on the screen, but, Spike is, Spike is one of a kind. He's kind of, what you see is what you get. He's a character. He's very funny. He's not a man who does not do a lot of takes. Maybe it's just me. Maybe but just, not a whole lot of takes and just get it over with. But
are you comfortable, and was he comfortable giving you direction?
Spike is very comfortable. There's not too much that Spike is not comfortable with. He's very comfortable giving direction. But can I just make one kind of comment, because you spoke about Giancarlo Esposito and Lawrence Fishburne. They were child actors. They came from the theater. So I just wanted to say that. I know there were so many wonderful discoveries, but Spike was in awe of these actors, like Giancarlo, like Lawrence Fishburne, who he was kind of trying to cast in some of his earlier productions.
I remember he used to talk about Lawrence's role in Apocalypse Now. He was 14 years old when he did that.
Yeah.
So would he go and see the theater in New York pretty regularly and note when he saw somebody who clicked? And I'm not talking about necessarily on Broadway, but anything, there's a zillion plays you can see in New York. Where did he, even before Do the Right Thing, so go back to finding Giancarlo before that. Where do you call, and what was it that spoke to you and Spike that said this guy can deliver?
I'm trying to remember what it was that Spike first saw Giancarlo in. I can't remember, but Spike was a film student, and he just knew actors, and from being involved in those projects early on, as well as going to theater and just being really just loving that whole process.
There are 3 directors still working today who I have been terrified to talk to. Spike Lee, no question. I crave it. I would love the opportunity for 2 hours to really, but so Spike Lee, William Friedkin, Peter Bogdanovich, and all because their love and passion for films is so deep that I always think, oh man, if I'm going to talk to them, they're going to expose me as the giant fraud. No, I am. I've been through, Bogdanovich has become one of a real great friend of mine. Friedkin still terrifies me, though I like to talk to him. And so now I got 2 down, 1 to go. But you get why somebody would be intimidated by your brother?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Spike is also very
kind at times, right?
At times.
I remember him going to Paris and bringing us gifts back. I still have a little African lunchbox that he found in Paris and brought back. So I think that everybody has a soft spot, and Spike's no different.
No, I get that he's. There's a few directors I've admired throughout my life. Once I started caring about movies, that I admire more than Spike Lee. That doesn't mean I'm not terrified. Just want to point that out.
He's also a cinephile, so I think if you just kind of speak that language, which you obviously do, Ben, I think that's kind of your common, that language, and that's your common denominator.
All right, no back to that. That's what I'll.
So.
That's what I'll rely on. So, what you all were, we talk on TCM all the time about sort of the John Ford troupe of not just actors, but people who work with him regularly, Hitchcock. That so many great directors surround themselves with people they trust and can rely upon, and then they do it again and again and again. What was it like being part of this team that every few years would come together and make art that much more often than not lasts.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it was because we knew we'd be making a movie every year. It really was every year for a while. You know, you would get that call, and he would say what he was thinking about or what he was working on, and then, you know, the script would come. For your eyes, only for your eyes. That's what he would say. But it really was special, and we knew it. We knew it. You know, we looked forward to it. We knew we would get to collaborate and, you know, roll our sleeves up and get it done really by any means necessary. And, you know, it was just a real special time.
Agree? Is that a Ruth, you got the same
Yeah, I
assessment?
agree. I feel like, you know, he really created a film family. I felt like there was a camaraderie and there was a mutual respect. I particularly liked when we would come back to do another film and we'd kind of recap the other film. Like, we'd talk about Mo Better Blues and, you know, how much he enjoyed the costuming in that. And it kind of was a nice way to start the new project, to talk about what a great result the past one was. And so those are some of the memories I have.
What actors you wanted to work with again, too, in the next one?
I never let this opportunity go by when I'm with someone who has just won an Academy Award. Ruth, let's get a little, what was that, you know, the most obvious question, what was that night like?
Nerve-wracking. I was with my maid and I kept telling him to put my speech away. I didn't want anyone seeing me practicing it because, wait, I don't think I'm gonna, maybe if I don't win, I should not have this speech out. And he must have taken it out of his pocket like 6 or 7 times while we were sitting there. And then it was pretty nerve-wracking. We were sitting really close to the stage, which was very uncomfortable. I mean, the stage was right in our face. And I was like, why are we so close? That means something. So it was pretty nerve-wracking. But to go up on stage finally, there was just an overwhelming feeling of confidence. I just... at some moment, it just came to me that this was my time, that I could get up there and I could say what I wanted to say to the world. I could thank Spike for giving me a wonderful start in this industry, and I could talk about what 32 years of working as a costume designer meant by receiving that award.
Wow.
So it just kind of, all of a sudden I just relaxed and walked on up.
No, that was really, there's a lot of people's favorite moment in the show. It was wonderfully special. But before we wrap this up, I want to bring it back to what we opened with a little bit. And Joie, you said it very well. There's no question there's been a lot of progress over the last 30 years. And then sometimes you look at the paper, watch the news, and you think, wait, has there? You know, and of course both things can be true. So we had a Best Picture winner that we know upset the director of Do the Right Thing. It upset a lot of people. What is your assessment 30 years after, you know, Driving Miss Daisy beats Do the Right Thing, where we have a movie like Green Book, which had a lot of strengths, but seemed like it was a story from a different time that I sort of thought we were past, but you guys have a much better assessment of whether that is happening.
You want to take this one?
Look at her face. Look at her face.
Yeah, everybody gets a whack.
It's hard. I still get a little worked up about Green Book, I really do, because it's just this just to me is an example of the importance of us telling our own stories. Because the thing that was just so disturbing to me is that, I mean, did Peter Farrelly speak to the family of Don Schroeder? you know, so that is disturbing to me, and just seems so disrespectful, and just to kind of keeping it in this, it's not, there's a loss of authenticity, you know, and kind of not honoring the men. I mean, it's called Green Book. Mm-hmm. You know, this had to do with the book that we created for ourselves being on the road. So that's, you know, that says it all. So it's
and not just for convenience. For
exactly.
safety. Right.
For safety. Yeah, my parents used it. So that is part of the disturbing story for me. Upsetting, just upsetting. And but you're talking about, yes, it is. Is this the modern day, or is this the 2019 Driving Miss Daisy version of it?
So I equated it to a numbers game. A numbers game. I kind of thought that the same audience that loved the Black Panther also loved Black Klansman, and it split the vote. And so that's what made the dark horse come through the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. In fact, obviously, votes get split. There were a lot of nominees. We're never going to know exactly. I thought, your brother Joie, instantly there were some stories that, he stormed off because he didn't win. He didn't storm off because he didn't win. He stormed off because Green Book won. Right? That was it. If Roma had won, he'd have given a standing ovation, I suspect, with everybody else.
I don't even remember. I'm not sure about that. The moment that's kind of etched in my mind is when Spike took the stage and jumped into
Samuel's. Yeah.
That's just like an indelible. I've never seen my brother so happy. That reminded me of childhood. Something like that. Maybe like the Knicks winning the championship, something like that. That's kind of on that level.
That's never happened. But it's been a while.
I'm not an avid sports fan, but a Spike would be a
Yes, you would. Robi, what were your thoughts there?
I was disappointed that Spike didn't win. I was hoping and praying and pulling for it. But just, it was disappointing, and I felt that he was cheated in a way, and that, again, like Joie said, that it's important for us to tell our own stories, and for that particular story to be the one to win, and not to really be authentic and told the way, it really happened. It was a shame.
All right, well, all the more reason, I think, why it's important that people keep watching this picture, which I suspect is going to be relevant in 2029 and 2039. It matters. It's a movie that matters, and it's also start to finish. There's a joy in it also, which is one of the reasons why I think it works. Do we agree with that?
I have a question. Are there any people seeing it for the first time tonight?
How many people have not seen it?
Oh, wow.
Not many. Well, this, as Genevieve said, this restoration is by the way, I just want to throw out, so it's restoration from Universal. So originally it was going to be a Paramount picture, and then right at the end, right before right at the last days of pre-production, Paramount told Spike that they wanted Mookie and Sal at the end of the movie to have a kumbaya moment where they would sort of embrace and is that the kind of a note that your brother would accept willingly?
Spoiler alert.
He did not.
No, he did not. And off he went to Universal, and Universal has supplied this brilliant restoration, which you are all going to see tonight. Ruth E. Carter. Okay.
Can I just,
of course,
before you wrap it up, Ben?
Yeah.
Can we just have one, because this is the last several years, I think it's about every 5 years, there's an anniversary, a thing. And I think if we could just kind of, kind of a memoriam, the memoriam for the people who are in the
film
cast who are no longer with us.
Yeah.
Robin Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Inherent Place Speaker Room,
Ozzy Davis,
the great Ozzy Davis,
the great Ruby D,
the Miss Ruby D, the fabulous Ruby D,
the great Bill Nunn,
the great Bill Nunn, and the great Frank Dixon. Those are the 5 cast members who are no longer with us.
That's crazy.
They all deliver incredibly memorable performances. Joie, Ruth, Carter, Robi, Reed. Thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy the film. Do the right thing. Thank you so much, everybody.